Alright, let's keep this intro short like a Marlboro and get right into the nitty gritty. For some reason, you guys really want me to talk about terrible seasons by historically dominant programs, and y'all know I'm a man of the people. So if you ask me and the idea sounds good, I might make it into a video like I'm doing now. Quick disclaimer, this is all for shits and giggles. If you think I'm trying to dunk on your program, I want y'all to remember and listen closely to me. I'm a Gator fan. I could never dunk on another program when my coach is silly Napier. But yeah, these videos take a while to make. Like and sub. Now let's jump right in. Alright, so the first historically dominant team that had a terrible season recently that we'll be taking a look at is the LSU Tigers. I don't think anybody here will have a problem with me calling LSU a historically dominant program, as their all-time record sits at 819, 423, and 47. And just in the last 20 years, the LSU Tigers have played in 3 national championship games, winning 2, and have had 2 Heisman winners as well in Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, with countless top 10 NFL draft picks, way too many to name. Point is, LSU has been going crazy, and as a Gators fan, I'm not going to lie, I'm envious of the aura the LSU program gives off. They just get better talent, better coaches, and worst of all, their uniforms are cleaner, which is why I'm so glad to talk about their terrible 2021 season. Which, you know what's even crazier? Even in one of their worst years in recent history, they still managed to beat Florida. Damn, do we suck? Nah. Okay, so coming into the 2021 season, LSU wasn't expected to make a natty or anything, but they also were not expected to be as bad as they were this year, as during SEC Media Day at the beginning of the season, they were predicted to finish 3rd in arguably one of the toughest divisions in sports, the SEC West, behind teams such as Alabama and Texas A&M. Okay, that was a little preview for this LSU team. Now let's take a look at some of the key figures of this 2021 LSU Tiger squad. Leading the program as the old ball coach in his 5th year up to that point was the national championship winning head coach Ed Orgeron. And this might be a cold take from me, but I always kind of thought Coach O was a little overrated from an X's and O's coaching standpoint. LSU fans, let me know down below in the comments how y'all feel about that. The man under center running the LSU offense was quarterback Max Johnson, who would throw for 2,815 yards with 27 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Leading the team in rushing was running back Terrion Davis Price, who would run for just over 1,000 rushing yards with 6 touchdowns. And finally, leading the team in receiving, I'm not gonna lie, this number shocked me, but with 509 yards and 6 touchdowns, Keyshawn Boutte. LSU having their leading receiver have under 1,000 receiving yards just sounds crazy, but these stats should give you an idea of what type of LSU team we're dealing with. That was some of the team leaders, so let's hop right into the 2021 season for the Tigers. LSU was ranked 16th in the country heading into their first game of the season, all the way on the West Coast in a Saturday night showdown against the 1-0 UCLA Bruins, led by quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson and head coach Chip Kelly. The Tigers' all-time record versus Pac-12 schools is way over a 500 winning percentage, as their record all-time is 15-4 versus the Pac-12. So this game versus UCLA was one that LSU should easily win, right?
He'll look to throw into the end zone. Boutte! Touchdown!
They have thrown hundreds of times in the summer and get it done.
Bruins go back to work on offense, and Greg Dulcich, the tight end, has all kinds of room, makes a move down the sideline, inside the 10. He is all the way in. Touchdown! They only rush 4. He gets rid of it to an open Charbonnet, who will run for a first down and more. The Terminator inside the 12. There, so 2nd and 6, back to the ground. Charbonnet, a couple of blockers in front. He explodes in. Touchdown UCLA. Bruins. They come again. Johnson throws it up to Johnson. He picks it off. Caleb Johnson back in. Coda, the man in motion. Thompson-Robinson scans the field. Open man, it's Coda. His first catch of the year goes for a touchdown. Johnson delivers a strike, and there goes Boutte. House call, touchdown.
Second level.
They're right back on the ball. Britton Brown with a convoy and a touchdown. Security, such an issue last year. We're going to look to throw here, and Thompson-Robinson finds Kyle Phillips. He stays on his feet. He's inbounds. Johnson has Boutte with a flag down. Keyshawn Boutte steps out of the tackle and takes it in. Touchdown LSU. We'll snap it one more time, and that is going to do it. The biggest win under Chip Kelly.
Am I seeing this right? I thought I was watching a Brian Kelly-led LSU team because he's the only coach I know that loses in every Week 1 game he plays in.
Shake soon as they face you. You won't have no space. We in your section till we sprays you. I say right foot creep, walking with that heater. Look around, stay low, make sure they don't see you.
Seriously though, while watching this game, LSU didn't play terrible as their quarterback Max Johnson would move the ball up and down the field as he would throw for 330 yards with 3 touchdowns with an interception. And it wasn't like the team played like Florida and was committing unnecessary penalties as the Tigers won that battle, only having 10 penalty yards compared to the Bruins 73. It most likely had to be that the defense just couldn't stop the UCLA offense as they would rush and throw for over 200 yards. LSU fans, comment down below what you thought about this game. Moving on, after LSU would lose to the Bruins 27-38, they would bounce back with 2 non-conference wins against McNeese 34-7 and a pretty easy dub, and a 49-21 blowout against the college Antonio Brown went to Central Michigan. Now sitting at 2-1 and starting to build momentum up again, LSU was set to match up in their last game against a team not ranked in the top 25 for the next 6 weeks, a road game against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. The LSU Tigers would travel to Stark Vegas and win 28-25 in a game that, while the score was close, the game never was really in question as once the Tigers got the lead against the Bulldogs, they wouldn't relinquish it. After the huge win that would bring the Tigers winning streak to 3, it was safe to say the Tigers were getting back on track and once again becoming a serious threat to the college football world. 3-1 and rolling, the Tigers were set to keep rolling until during one late night, Coach O would receive a visit from the devil as he came to collect his side of the deal him and Coach O made years ago when the old ball coach made a deal to become a national championship winning coach for LSU in exchange for, well, how do I say this, the 2021 season. That's a real story. If you don't believe me, ask my source, Urban Meyer. Anyway, seriously though, this 2021 LSU squad seriously got it set up for failure as their next 6 games were against the 22nd ranked Auburn Tigers, 16th ranked Kentucky, my 20th ranked Florida Gators, 12th ranked Ole Miss, 2nd ranked Alabama, and finally to end this stretch, 25th ranked Arkansas. Sheesh, this stretch of conference games coming up was absolutely insane. It kind of makes you think if what Urban Meyer told me was actually true. Would LSU and Coach O be able to escape their deal and survive this stretch, or would the devil come to collect LSU and Coach O's 2021 season? Let's find out.
Johnson gonna go to the end zone and Butte! How about that? Field goal attempt, this from 51. Well, knocking on the door. And Hunter wants to burst right through it, and he does. Misdirection, touchdown! You said, listen, I'm from this state. I know how important it is to win at LSU. Wide open! Jaton tactic, and he has so many of those. Johnson flush, throws behind the line of scrimmage, deep, open. That is caught. Is to open up more and more of their life on social media. That hole opened up for Rodriguez. Touchdown.
Davis Price remains the running back. Max Johnson faked it to him and threw it. Anticipating a Hail Mary. They put 3 receivers on the right. Jones plenty on the throw. Beautiful spiral. Corner of the end zone. And it is caught.
Oh my goodness.
For a touchdown. They played a penalty-free first half. That had been a problem. There's the 3rd interception for LSU. Dwight McLaughlin down the sideline. McLaughlin into the end zone. Goal. Play fake. Man wide open. Touchdown. Jeray Jenkins.
Second to go. Play fake. Throw. Touchdown. We're down to 12. Yep. Ely. Nice move by Ely. Jerry and Ely. Touchdown.
He came to play tonight. 3rd and 2. And they lofted out. Thomas. Here comes the pressure. Young rolls away from it. Johnson from the pocket delivers. Catch made. Besh turns, dives, touched it. Johnson looking right, scanning across the middle, leaping, and it's incomplete.
Pressure up the middle. Nussmeier spins, uncorks, end zone. Caught him back and he just looked different at that point. Jefferson gets out of trouble again. Throws on the run, wide open. It's Dominic Johnson in an Arkansas. Nussmeier, end zone. It is intercepted by Monteric Brown. Cam Little, leaking, delivers. Arkansas wins it in overtime.
LSU would start this tough stretch of play against 6 straight ranked conference opponents with a tough loss to Auburn 24-19 in a game that saw LSU actually up in the 4th quarter at one point. They just couldn't close the deal. The next week, they would take another loss on the road at Kentucky. I'm going to be honest, this game wasn't really close at all. Kentucky just straight up outplayed LSU. Don't worry, LSU fans, because you wouldn't have to worry about not winning a game during this stretch, as the Tigers would absolutely outplay my Florida Gators, winning 49-42 in a pretty entertaining game. I really hope LSU savored that win against Florida because they would lose 3 straight games after that, losing 31-17 to Ole Miss in a matchup matchup that wasn't really close. On the contrary, though, the next week against the number 2 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, the Tigers would play their best game all season, almost having a chance to beat Bama late in the fourth quarter, but coming up just short on 4th and goal. And finally, to end this extremely difficult stretch of ball, a tough loss in overtime to the Razorbacks. LSU would go 1-5 during this stretch, and of course the only team they would beat was my Florida Gators. Seriously though, LSU was in a lot of these games, and maybe if they had better coaching, they could have pulled some of these close games out. Now sitting at 4-6, LSU would need to win 2 straight games to make a bowl game this season. Fortunately, LSU would get a much easier opponent to play this time around in UL Monroe, and as expected, the Tigers would handle them 24-17. Now sitting at 5-6, LSU's biggest game of the season was coming up against the 15th ranked Texas A&M Aggies, and thankfully for the Tigers, they were up against the biggest fraud in college football, Jimbo Fisher. Could LSU win their final game of the season to qualify for a bowl game?
A&M think and run. Johnson to throw on 3rd and 1. Lets it go deep. Caught! Touchdown LSU! Here comes pressure. Calzada fires. Caught! Touchdown A&M! Yeah, he just shoved Dellinger to the river on that one. Here's a screen to Palmer. Up the hash marks. Got blocking. Trey Palmer to the 30, the 20, and stays inside for at least you finished your football career. Calzada over the middle. Spin. Touch. Calzada pulls it back. Pressured. Hangs a U-turn. Stays alive. Bullet complete short of the sticks. And a run for a first down for Preston again. He's got it outside the numbers and into the end zone. Touchdown A&M. See if Johnson has time. Here comes the pressure. Lets it go. It is caught. Jenkins! 28-yard strike!
LSU would end the season with a pretty exciting game against the Aggies that would go back and forth, but LSU would come up clutch late in the fourth quarter, winning the game 27-24 against the 15th ranked Texas A&M Aggies. After the huge win, LSU would bring their record back to 500. Now sitting at 6-6, the Tigers had qualified for the Texas Bowl against Kansas State. And I already know the LSU fan base didn't really care about this bowl game, as this program is used to competing for natties in New Year's Six bowl games. Maybe if they were a program like UMass, they would get excited for this bowl game. No offense to Minutemen Nation, but come on, it's LSU. To put a bow on this terrible season from one of the best programs in college football history, they would get boat raced by the Wildcats 42-20 in the Texas Bowl to end their 2021 season with a disgusting record of 6-7, their worst record in the last 20 plus years. Alright, from one shit show to another we go, from the LSU Tigers 2021 season to the Florida State Seminoles embarrassing 2018 football season. And if I'm being honest, I know I'm a Gators fan, so I'm not just hating when I say this, but I could have chosen this current year for Florida State as well, as they have been one of the most surprising fall losses of the year. But the season isn't over yet, so I decided to look specifically at this 2018 squad. Before we get into the nitty gritty, I have to mention that while Florida State is considered a baby in the world of college football programs, as they haven't even played football for 75 years, I still consider them a dominant program, as their all-time record sits well above 500 at 546, 266, and 16, as well as winning 3 natties, one of which was less than 15 years ago, and having 3 Heisman winners and countless top NFL draft picks. Even though I bleed blue and orange, I can admit the Noles have a pretty legit college football program, which is why I'm so happy to talk about their 2018 season, so let's hop right into it. Coming into the season, the Noles had some expectations, as in the 2018 ACC preseason polls, they were expected to finish second in the Atlantic Division behind the Clemson Tigers, and were expected to win around 9 games that year. So you could say Nole Nation was expecting their team to compete. So let's take a look at the head coach and key players the FSU Loyals were putting their faith in. Leading the team in his first year up to that point was the legendary Florida State head coach Willie Taggart. Let me know down below, FSU fans, where you rank Coach Willie all time for Florida State head coaches. He's definitely in my top 3. Coming in at quarterback, we had DeAndre Francois. Damn, that name just hit me with a wave of nostalgia. Anyway, he would finish the year with over 2,700 yards through the air with 15 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Leading the team in rushing was running back Cam Akers, who would rush for 706 yards with 6 touchdowns. And finally, leading this explosive FSU offense in receiving was a pair of wide receivers, who would both finish the season with 744 receiving yards, them being Naquan Murray and Tamarion Terry. FSU would start the 2018 season ranked 19th in the country, and would have the spotlight all on them in their first game of the season, as they were set to play in a Monday night game at home against the 20th ranked Virginia Tech Hokies. Could the coaching legend Willie Taggart start his FSU campaign with a huge win at home?
2nd and 8. Jackson loops for the end zone. Jump ball. Caught. Touchdown. And it's right over top the upright. Just left from 32. Has this from 22 on the right hash. And knocks it. Greg Stroman was a terrific punt returner. It's blocked. Beaverville strikes again. And the Hokies score off the block punt. Chris Cunningham. They'll snap it. Francois deflected at the...
Long and lean and athletic looking.
Jackson rolling out, 3rd and 7 after the penalty, and it's a completion to Kuma. He's still running. Kuma breaks free against a tire defense as the Hokies deliver the dagger here in Tallahassee.
Florida State would lose to the Hokies 24-3 in a game that FSU couldn't seem to find a rhythm on offense in, as the FSU quarterback would throw 3 interceptions. The loss was tough, but it was only the first game of the season, and there was still plenty of football left to be played for the Noles. The following week, FSU would play a cupcake game against the Sanford Bulldogs. Well, it should have been a cupcake game, but I guess Coach Willie thought they were playing the Georgia Bulldogs because Sanford would be up going into the 4th quarter. Although FSU would be on upset alert, they would find a way to pull out the game late. And I'm just baffled the game was closer than it was because the Sanford quarterback threw 4 interceptions, but he also did torch the FSU defense for 475 yards, so I guess it balances out. FSU would pull the dub out 36-26, but it was becoming apparent there was problems going on within the program, as the team had been a letdown so far, and after their 30-7 loss against Syracuse the following week, where the Noles just came out flat and looked unprepared once again, Nole Nation was starting to get fed up with Coach Willie, but he would quiet the fan base down and show why he was a Florida State legend and would win 2 straight games, one against Northern Illinois 37-19 in a game that FSU controlled from pretty much the kickoff till the final play of the game, and the other one coming against conference opponent Louisville 28-24 in a tough effort that saw FSU down going into the 4th quarter, but they would come back and pull out the win, mostly led by a career day from the FSU quarterback DeAndre Francois, who would throw for 294 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now sitting at 3-2, the Noles were getting back on track, and Coach Willie had this team buzzing, and it was a good thing too because their next game was against one of FSU's biggest rivals, the 17th ranked Miami Hurricanes. Could the Noles and Coach Willie pull off the upset on the road against the Canes and bring FSU back in contention for the ACC?
Taking a shot up the seam, bobbled, caught at the goal line. It's a touch. They do snap it. There's the slant. End zone. Touchdown. Francois to throw. Looking for the slant. This time Terry's got it. And he's into the end zone. That's a Florida State touchdown.
His presence felt today, showing up.
Wobbly punt. Takes a Miami roll. And fielded on a hop by DJ Matthews. And gets loose. DJ Matthews down the sideline. Does he stay in bounds? At the pylon. Blitz off the edge. Francois doesn't see it. The ball's out. Is the turnover down? Going for it on 4th down. Another lob for Cager. Does he have it this time? Middle screen, and it's intercepted! Cozy Perry, lobbing one for the end zone. Jeff Thomas, what a great throw. He wants another deep shot, drops it in, at the goal line. Canes, I should say, when this was 27-7, all the momentum at that point.
What an experience.
Florida State.
Let's be honest, there was no reason FSU should have lost to Miami 27-28. The Noles were up big at one point, but bad coaching and just some really bad turnovers deep in the Noles' own zone just really killed them. And I don't know what was up with their offense, but it definitely reflects on Coach Willie because the Noles only had 200 total yards this entire game and just couldn't move the ball to keep drives alive to eat up more clock to put the game away. The loss to the Canes was tough, but the Noles would bounce back in their next matchup against the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, and honestly one of the Noles' best performances of the season, as they would be down early, but once they took the lead in the 2nd quarter, they would never look back as they would win 38-17. Now sitting at 4-3, the Florida State Seminoles were about to embark on their toughest stretch of the season, a 4-game stretch of ACC conference play against all ranked teams, them being the number 2 ranked Clemson Tigers, 21st ranked North Carolina State, 3rd ranked Notre Dame, and finally to end the stretch a matchup versus 20th ranked Boston College. FSU would have to pull out some wins during this stretch or risk not making a bowl game, something I vividly remember because back in 2017 on social media, FSU fans were trolling the hell out of Gator fans for missing a bowl game, the college football equivalent of going 0-16 in the NFL. So this 2018 FSU squad was playing with fire going into this tough stretch of conference play. Could the legendary Florida State coach Willie lead the Florida State Noles through this gauntlet of games?
A big part of that.
Slants there for Amari Rogers. He gets free. A foot race for the pylon, and they're not catching Amari Rogers. 58-yard play action for Lawrence. Sings one down the sideline for Rogers. Wow. Amari Rogers does it again. 68. Runs to the end zone for the touchdown.
Adjustment he made it. Blackman wants to go deep again. Same man, same result. And goal line for the spike. Blitz from the Wolfpack. Blackman
Francois is split out, and Akers will keep with a nice move. He'll score. Touchdown. First down inside handoff. Williams up the middle. There goes Dexter Williams. Notre Dame touchdown.
Brought a physicality to that left side.
12th run on this drive. Doing it on the ground. Doing it with Williams. Notre Dame touchdown.
Akers touchdown. Passing now with a touchdown since halftime. Dillon up the middle, touchdowns and counting here before the snap. Francois, deep ball down the middle, got a man. And it's caught. Terry keeps his feet, touchdown, Florida State.
Florida State would play absolutely terrible during this 4-game stretch of conference play, minus the last game, as they would lose 59-10 to the Clemson Tigers in a game that was just hard to watch for Noles fans, as they would only be able to muster 247 yards of total offense, and wouldn't score a touchdown in this game until the fourth quarter, while on the other hand, the Clemson Tigers would put up over 500 yards of total offense and had their backups in before the start of the fourth. At least in their next game against the North Carolina State Wolfpack, they would put up some more offense, totaling 445 yards, even though they would be greatly outplayed, losing the game 47-28. Their next matchup in this stretch was a road game at Notre Dame, and after going through a tough week of practice, Coach Willie had these boys right and ready going into South Bend, as they would play a tough game but lose 42-13. Now sitting at 4-6, the Noles had to win this last game of the stretch against Boston College if they wanted to keep their chances of making a bowl game alive. Fortunately, against 22nd ranked Boston College, FSU would keep their season alive as they would pull out a win 22-21 in a close game that the Noles managed to clutch up. Now sitting at 5-6, FSU was coming down to their final game of the season in rivalry week against my Florida Gators, and they would have to win if they wanted to make a bowl game. But more importantly, the legendary coach Willie Taggart had been facing a lot of heavy criticism this year from the FSU fan base for how unprepared this team seemed to be most games of the season. He would be able to quiet down the fan base and make them forget about everything that happened this year if the Noles could upset the 11th ranked Florida Gators in the final game of the season.
Florida will run it to the left on first down, and look out, there goes P. Ryan. Inside the 30, nobody gonna catch him. 70. It's Seminoles offense. They fake the pitch to Matthews. Francois gets drilled. His pass caught, one-handed touch. And now the Gators take over inside the 25 and looking to take a shot to the end zone. It's covered downfield. Franks creates space, now throws, caught. Grimes, touch. Francois will keep it. He scored. Touchdown.
The state team. Some guys that really refuse to lose.
Scarlett to the end zone. Touchdown. Exclamation point on a Gator win. And probably a New Year's.
There's no way to sugarcoat it. The Florida State Seminoles got the brakes beat off of them 41-14 in a pretty disappointing game that the Noles just got outplayed in. After the terrible loss to Florida, Coach Willie and the Florida State Seminoles record would become 5-7, meaning that Florida State, one of the best and biggest college brands in the country, wouldn't be making a bowl game this season, an extremely rare occurrence for this historically dominant college football program. To paint an idea of how bad a job Coach Willie did this year, the Seminoles' 5-7 season was their worst season in the last 40+ years. Crazy, but I'm sure the legendary Coach Willie Taggart would vastly improve in his next season with Florida State. Okay, leaving Tallahassee, we travel to Norman to take a look at arguably the most historically dominant program in this video today, the Oklahoma Sooners. When I say this program has been dominant, I mean it, as their all-time record sits at an insane 895, 325, and 47. And get this stat, which I found absolutely bonkers. In the Sooners' last 24 years of playing football, they have finished with 11 wins or more 16 times, which is why this year we're taking a look at for this video, the 2022 season is such a weird one compared to almost every other season. It just sticks out like a sore thumb, so let's hop right into it. Coming into the 2022 season, I'll be honest, the Sooners were somewhat expected to be down a little bit this year. But when I say down, take that with a grain of salt, because in the Big 12 2022 season preview, the Sooners were projected to finish second in the Big 12 behind the Baylor Bears, which, to be fair to Sooner fans, it's winning the Big 12 or bust, as the Sooners had won the Big 12 in 6 of the last 7 years. But if I had to infer on why they were projected to finish second this year, it might have been because there was a lot of new faces joining Sooner Nation, including a new coach and quarterback. So let's dive right into the head coach and some of the key players for this 2022 Oklahoma squad. Leading the program in his first year, coming over from Clemson, was head coach Brent Venables, and the man he trusted to run the offense of this blue blood program was quarterback Dillon Gabriel, who would throw for just over 3,100 yards with 25 touchdowns. Leading the team in rushing was the star running back Eric Gray, who would finish the year with over 1,300 yards on the ground with 11 touchdowns. And finally, leading the team in receiving was the speedster Marvin Mims, who would put up just over 1,000 receiving yards with 6 touchdowns. To open up the season, the Sooners would start the year ranked 9th in the country and would rattle off 3 straight wins against some below average opponents, winning 45-13 against UTEP, 33-3 against Kent State, and finally a 49-14 blowout win against Nebraska. Now sitting at 3-0 and moving up in the rankings to the 6th spot, the Sooners were coming up on their first real test of the season against the K-State Wildcats. K-State seemed to always pull off an upset against the Sooners every now and then during the Lincoln Riley era, but this was a new era led by Brent Venables.
Kansas State has been attacking. Here he is again. It's a touchdown for Martinez. 2nd and goal. It's a throw, and it's Martinez on target for a touchdown. Kansas State and Malik. Very familiar with Levy's system. He played in it at UCF. Gabriel to throw again. He's got Weiss again. All kinds of running room in clean air for a touchdown. Savage was up at the line. Gabriel, a deep ball right on the money for Mims. First down and goal. It's another run, and he cartwheels in. Touchdown. Hard closed by Boydo, and he still didn't come up with the ball. Gabriel wants to throw. Instead, he's hit. He keeps his feet. He finds a crease. Dylan Gabriel slide. Martinez kept it himself. Great decision. Touchdown. High snap. Gabriel has to release it. Oh, what a catch. 16 for Martinez. Didn't have time to throw it down the field. He runs instead. Martinez has the first down. Adrian Martinez. The Nebraska transplant. Martinez again finds a space. Another touchdown and a bow from Martinez.
Oklahoma was unable to pull out the win against the Kansas State Wildcats for one reason. Adrian Martinez. Dude straight up torched the Sooners defense, passing for 234 yards with a touchdown, and get this, putting up nearly 150 yards on the ground with 4 touchdowns, leading K-State over AU 41-34. I know the Sooner fans were getting flashbacks of Colin Klein watching Martinez run all over them. After their tough loss to K-State, things wouldn't get any easier, as if you ask me, it felt like the Big 12 Conference as a whole was hazing Coach Venables, because in their next 2 games versus conference opponents, they would get absolutely boat raced. As against TCU, the Sooners would lose 55-24. I'll admit Dylan Gabriel was hurt, but I don't know how much that would have changed things, as the game was pretty much over after the first quarter, as TCU had already dropped 27 points on the Sooners defense by then. Unfortunately, the OU starting quarterback would miss the Red River rivalry game against Texas the next week, as the Sooners would get demolished 49-0. Welcome to the Big 12, Venables, even though he wouldn't be there for long. Oklahoma had lost 3 straight games, and I'm too lazy to look this stat up, but I'm pretty sure OU hasn't lost 3 games in a row very often in the last 50 years of the program playing football. Now sitting at 3-3 and 0-3 in conference play, Dylan Gabriel was back under center, and it couldn't have came at a more crucial point during the season, as the Sooners really needed to turn things around before things got out of control. With Dylan Gabriel back running the offense, OU would pull off 2 straight conference wins, winning 52-42 in a shootout versus the 19th ranked Kansas Jayhawks. But if I'm being honest, while the score seemed close, the game was really dominated by Oklahoma for the majority of the game, and also pulling out a close win against the Cyclones in a matchup that was a 1-score game going into the 4th quarter. But the Sooners would pull away late, winning the game 27-13. The Sooners had somewhat gotten back to form and had saved whatever was left of their season. Now sitting at 5-3, the Sooners would have 4 remaining Big 12 games left against Baylor, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and finally Texas Tech. The Sooners were rolling and would need to keep it up if they wanted to keep their chances of making a decent bowl game alive. But OU is a big dog, and all these teams left in their schedule really thought this year would be their best opportunity to beat OU, so you knew it wasn't going to be easy. Could the Oklahoma Sooners survive this tough stretch of conference play, or was the Big 12 going to keep dominating Coach Venables and the Sooners this year?
Be limited. I don't know about that. He's 8 carries now. Give him another one. Get him in the end zone.
Finds his way over the football and almost scores.
He's going to score right there.
Doing that so far in the second half.
Shapen turns around and hands it off to Quaylen Jones. He's got room into the end zone. Neighbors in motion. It is Squirrel Williams. Oh my goodness, Squirrel!
Go down, go down.
Got you, Smart.
Ajayi. Here's Gray, dancing left. He'll take it into the end zone.
It looks very soft.
Green fakes the handoff. He'll keep it. He'll score. Touchdown, Garrett Green.
Everybody's green here.
They throw it left side, and it's going to be caught. Touchdown, Bryce Ford Wheaton. He's got the ball here. Breaking tackles into the end.
8th ranked against the pass. Gabriel going to work again, looking deep. Got a receiver.